So, the past few days we've been talking about the fallout. We've been talking about the results between a trade involving the Montreal Canadiens and the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, of course, the Patrik Laine trade was a really big deal. $8.7 million guy in Laine, heading over to Montreal. He's a big dude, he's an explosive scorer at his best, and Habs fans all over are super excited. Now, for Columbus, their situation also improved with this trade. They got rid of a guy that was already very known to have been wanting out of Columbus. They got a defenseman in Jordan Harris. Sure, they traded away a pick to get that defenseman, but at the end of the day, freeing up the salary cap space was important, and that's exactly what they did by sending Laine away. But with this in mind, we have ourselves a conversation that had popped up on the hockey news regarding this team, and how the Columbus Blue Jackets may be in a position where they might need some help reaching the cap floor. Karine Haynes wrote this article yesterday asking if the Montreal Canadiens could help CBJ reach that floor. If the Blue Jackets need help to reach it, Kent Hughes and the Montreal Canadiens might just be able to assist. Now, here's the thing. I will say that the entire reason this article even exists is because of the terrible tragedy that we had seen earlier last week with the passing of Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew. That event, that day, our response to it, it's not going to be anything we forget pretty much in our lifetimes, as hockey fans and as human beings. As we keep the kindness of Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau in our hearts and continue sending our wishes and prayers to the Gaudreau family, we do have to acknowledge that Johnny Gaudreau was making $9-something million a year on the Columbus Blue Jackets payroll, and the article here on the Hockey News goes out there and says that the show must go on for the Columbus Blue Jackets, who now find themselves in a tricky situation salary cap-wise. The cap floor in the NHL stands at $65 million, and with Johnny Gaudreau's salary coming off the books, the Ohio team finds itself at $62.3 million, which is to say $2.6 million away from being cap compliant. Yeah, there's no easy way to beat around the bush here. They traded away Patrik Laine, freed up $8.7 million, and now Johnny Gaudreau's contract doesn't count, so that's an extra $9-something million. That's a lot of money that was taken off of the Columbus Blue Jackets payroll in such a short amount of time. And now you could be saying they might need a little bit of help to get back into cap compliancy. The article then says this. When Montreal Canadiens GM Kent Hughes spoke to the media following the Patrik Laine-Jordan Harris trade, he was asked if he believed he'd be able to get cap compliant before the start of the season without putting price on the LTIR. He answered that he could. As things stand, the Montreal Canadiens are currently $2.022 million over the salary cap. So you put 2 and 2 together. The Blue Jackets are about $2 million something under the salary minimum. The Montreal Canadiens are about $2 million over the salary maximum. So, enter Kent Hughes. The article then says here, 4 names come to mind. Brendan Gallagher, Josh Anderson, Yoel Armia, and Christian Dvorak. Could any of these guys be traded to Columbus to help out their salary cap situation and help them hit that minimum? It would be shocking to see either Gallagher or Anderson included in the deal. Not only do they both have a hefty cap hit, but they're also locked in for 3 more seasons, and therefore wouldn't just be a stopgap solution for the Jackets. Furthermore, Hughes does not sell low, and both of these guys' value is pretty much as low as they've ever been. The article then talks about the other 2 guys, Yoel Armia and Christian Dvorak, and this is where you start to dive into the nuance of what exactly these players are, what the demands would be if they were to be traded, what is it that a team acquiring a Christian Dvorak would expect. And when you think about those guys, Dvorak and Armia, certainly they're a lot more stomachable than a Josh Anderson or a Brendan Gallagher. Gallagher's making $6.5 million, Anderson's making $5.5, Yoel Armia's making $3.4, and then you have yourselves the Dvorak contract at $4.45. These guys are all roughly in the same age range as well. I mean, Dvorak is the youngest at 28, Gallagher is the oldest at 32, so of course you have to start thinking about what these guys could provide a Columbus team. Aside from the, of course, necessary cap benefits, there is an argument to be had that a guy like Brendan Gallagher could help out a team like Columbus. Maybe a guy like Josh Anderson could bring back the speed and goal-scoring talent that he once had with this team years ago. Dvorak and Armia are capable middle-to-bottom six caliber players who will certainly be okay on a team's third line if you thrusted them with some sort of a defensively responsible, offensive contributing once-in-a-while kind of role. So, I don't think any of these guys would necessarily be bad fits with the Columbus Blue Jackets. It's just, would they be interested in taking on a guy with a little bit more term like a Gallagher or an Anderson, or would they instead be focused on this season saying, okay, this is going to be our one-and-done year. We'll get our Mia, we'll get the contract on the books, the contract will be off the books next summer, and then we can make some signings, then we can make some trades, and find a way to make our team cap compliant then, in 2025. We don't need to rely on a long-term Brendan Gallagher or Josh Anderson deal to help us do that. It certainly is an intriguing thought process, especially since some of these guys have been linked to Columbus in the past. In particular, Josh Anderson was a former Blue Jacket traded for Max Domi. Brendan Gallagher, of course, people have been talking about the idea of him getting maybe traded, maybe sent away because he hasn't been as good as he has been in the past compared to 2023, 2024. So, of course, for Brendan Gallagher, I think there's a lot more that you could expect out of him compared to an Anderson, compared to a Dvorak or an Armia, but there's a dollar amount increase that certainly is noteworthy, and a length increase too. So would the Columbus Blue Jackets be interested in getting any of these guys to help out their salary cap situation? The article then goes out there and proposes some hypothetical questions with Dvorak and what exactly an Armia could look like, etc. But then it goes out there and concludes this: while it's hard not to feel for the Blue Jackets who find themselves in such a predicament of tragedy, Kent Hughes is the kind of guy who is not going to help just to help, and he'll need some sort of a return to part with either of these assets. It's either he doesn't get what he's after, or he'll have no problem waiting until after the trade deadline to get those assets. Now, it is just a hypothetical thought, of course. This is not really any insider information, it's just a proposal. And when you consider the fact that Montreal and Columbus have traded with each other in the past, they quite literally just pulled off the biggest trade of the offseason pretty much, it is something to note if you wanted to consider Kent Hughes as a potential guy to step back in. Say, hey, you guys need some help. We have options, we can give you these forwards, we can give you extra salary cap dollars that you can use to get into the cap compliancy territory. It might cost you a draft pick, it might cost you a younger prospect or whatever, but there is an opportunity here for Kent Hughes and Don Waddell to continue making trades and continue helping each other out. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this idea of the Columbus Blue Jackets potentially needing some contracts and how the Montreal Canadiens might be able to help out, according to this Hockey News article. It will be linked in the description if you want to go ahead and read this. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.